My name is Bonnie Sample. I'm 70 years old and moved in 3 years ago. I don't think about my aging very much. When I do, I'm always surprised at how old I am. I don't know if I can separate my aging from living at Becketwood because I wasn't old till I got here. I mean, I didn't think of myself as aging. You know, I worked full time and had a bunch of interests, and I have been blessed with having good health. And so now I use aging as my excuse for why I have aches and pains. But living at Becketwood, I have conflicting kind of feelings about that. Because when I first moved in, and the first day I moved in, someone asked me how I felt about moving to Becketwood, and I said, well, I don't think I will like living with all these old people. Of course, extracting myself from that category. But my mom lived here, and she moved in when she was 86, and she said the same thing. So I think it's a pretty lame, pretty lame observation. On the other hand, Becketwood makes me feel younger, I guess, because there are many people older than I am, and so I have, in some ways, more energy. It does make me feel a little younger. Probably one of the most powerful things that I have learned is how aging is not a curse, except for health, which there's not much you can do about that, really. There are so many people here who live life so fully for so long that it is inspiring, and it makes me feel like I don't live with a bunch of old people. I mean, age kind of goes away. So it's many things. If I didn't live at Becketwood, I would probably be more aware of aging, actually. When I think about my move here, I'm always grateful that I moved in. The options for me, I didn't own a home. I would be to continue to rent endlessly, which is financially, I think, foolish. But I wouldn't want to maintain a home by myself. No matter how little work there is, I would have to hire someone to do it. And so that didn't seem like a good idea either. And I think both of those options would have been very isolating for me. So Becketwood solved the problem. And it wasn't until my mom died that I thought, so what are you going to do? Where are you going to live with the rest of your life? And I put my name on the wait list before I was really convinced that this was where I really wanted to be. But I knew that getting your name on the wait list early was advantageous. As time went by, you would be more likely to have other options open to you. People here are pretty amazing. And you know so little about the people that you live with. That's the other thing. There's hidden talents and skills and experiences everywhere. It only comes up in conversation with people, or you're in a group with them, and they reveal a little more about themselves. It's really fascinating. I could say a few words about aging in place. I have thought about the phrase aging in place quite a lot, because for me, aging in place meant, and still does actually, it means you can get older, and as you age and if you need more services, you get to stay in the same place. And when aging in place, I think, began to be used commonly, some of the facilities allowed you to, very few actually, allowed you to stay in the same unit or the same apartment. And then they would just increase the services that were available to you. Whereas other places who described their facility as a place where you could age in place meant that you could age within the facility, even though you may move to a different floor or a different building. And so aging in place is kind of odd here at Becketwood to me, because you don't just age. That's the thing. You live here. You're not here to age. You happen to age while you live here. And I moved in with the expectation that I'm not going to die here. If I'm lucky, then I may be able to stay here, and with home care or hospice care, I could die here. But it's not a particular goal of mine. I want to be healthy, and then just overnight die. So I think aging in place, it's not appropriate for me as a way to refer to Becketwood, because it's the emphasis is on aging, and you may not get to stay here until you die, but you wind up living longer, more actively, I think, if you live at Becketwood, and that's more the point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think aging, I have commented on this any number of times that I don't find this an appropriate phrase for Becketwood, but it's, it's kind of standard for senior housing, but for me it doesn't say anything about Becketwood. I can give you an example of how people at Becketwood may differ from people outside of Becketwood in their perspective on aging. Because I have lunch with a group of women who two still work. At our lunches, they talk more about family members and health crises and deaths in the family and aches and pains more in an hour than I ever hear here. People, I guess, accept their situation here more comfortably, but it was a surprising moment to me to realize that these people younger than I am seemingly focusing on things that people here would more likely talk about, but they don't. So I don't know why that is, but I'm grateful.
When I first visited here, and at that point I wasn't even thinking about moving, I did it with a friend, and it got me thinking about downsizing.
Yeah.
But I visited, and I'm standing down by the mailbox area, the common area, and Sharon, the marketer in the past, and is with this friend. And tongue-in-cheek, like I can, smart-ass comment, I said, I obviously am not old enough for this place yet. And I was 70 at the time.
Yeah.
Some guy interrupted a resident who's standing at the mailbox, came up and said, listen here, let me tell you. You need to move into this place when you've got the energy to make the change and the energy to enjoy being here.
Yeah.
And that fits with it. That's
brilliant.
powerful. That's brilliant. I mean, the focus was on
living.
It was on living, not on downsizing life, not on doing less.
It's really enables you to do more, I think, and it exposes you to more. One of my I bet it was the first week I was here. So I was picking up my mail, and a conversation started up. Someone probably asked me if I was new. And within 10 minutes, we were talking about Palestine or some other current event. And I walked away thinking, well, that was great. And it's true. You get exposed to more things at Becketwood, people's individual interests, something related to the community, or it could be political. There are, some options to get more familiar with people who think differently than you do about religion. Okay, here's the downside of being at Becketwood. It is very easy to get involved in things that interest you, and I have done that to such an extent that I am stretched too thin, quite frankly. I'm just involved in too many things, but they're all interesting.
Isn't a part of that wonderful?
A part of it's wonderful.
A part of it.
So there are endless opportunities. And the other thing is, and I think it feels really good to be part of a community and to do something on the community's behalf. It makes me feel like I earn the right to be here. I think Becketwood is different than any other senior housing, even a senior co-op. If people are concerned about sort of the future and whether Becketwood is going to pass muster as the different generations come through, I think there will always be a percentage of any generation that would be interested in living longer, more healthily, more actively, with a inspiring community. I think that is our strongest selling. Well, that and how beautiful it is outside. That, though, I think is really our strongest selling point.